Okay, everybody, welcome back to Kinetic Energy 1085. Today I'm going to go there. I'm going to be comparing the 45 ACP, which is the cartridge on the left, to the 10 millimeter, which is the cartridge on the right. Size comparison alone shows that the 45 ACP is slightly bigger than the 10 millimeter. The only difference is 1.45 millimeters. Both of these are very large masses coming at you, especially compared to most rifle rounds, which are anywhere from 22 caliber up to 30 caliber and 7 millimeter. So these are very large projectiles coming at you. The 45 ACP, we're going to give a big leg up, and we're going to be comparing it to the 10 millimeter with plus P ammunition, and this is plus P ammunition right here. This explains what it is. The 10 millimeter is going to be using full potential loads. These are not to be confused with plus P ammunition because the 10 millimeter is designed to shoot full potential loads. Anything less, this over-the-counter stuff, is considered FBI light. So getting into the history of 10 millimeter. We make a long story short. Back in 1986, there was a shootout with the Miami-Dade Police Department, and two suspects known for committing a lot of crime in the area. They had them surrounded. Long story short, the FBI agents realized, I believe they were FBI agents, realized that they were outgunned because, to summarize, the two suspects, there was two. One was armed with a .223 caliber rifle. So remember, a .223 is generally used in the spooky AR-15 platform, but it's the round that makes the power and the devastation, not the platform it's used in. So the bad guys had a .223, a 12 gauge, and I believe a .357 Magnum. The police came equipped with 9 millimeters and 38 specials. So during this shootout, the police were severely outgunned. They were getting injured even by shrapnel, from this .223 rifle. The bad guys were shooting at them. FBI agents died. Eventually, believe both suspects were killed, but the one suspect was shot with a 9 millimeter. It turned out to be a fatal wound, but of course it just took forever for this fatal wound to take effect. So he was shot, I don't know how many times. I'm not going to have the whole story in front of me. Multiple times, both of these suspects, by 38 caliber and 9 millimeter, and they stayed in the fight and kept taking out FBI agents. So the FBI agents realized we need a more stout cartridge to enter firefights and be equipped to go up against whatever else is going to come our way. So Lieutenant Jeff Cooper was a 45 ACP fanatic fan. I believe he was a Marine Semper Fi. Yep. And he said he wanted to come up with the ultimate cartridge. He developed this 10 millimeter cartridge, 40 caliber round, 40 caliber projectile, as I mentioned earlier in this video, but basically the magnum version. So the 10 millimeter, most handgun bullets kind of jump up, come down. The 10 millimeter is extremely high velocity, and it has a very flat trajectory. I'm going to show you some of the stats coming up later in the video of the ballistic charts of 45 and 10 millimeter. And then I'm also going to throw in the wild card comparison, which is the .357 Magnum revolver. No, I am not meaning .357 SIG, completely different cartridges. I am comparing the 10 millimeter to the .357 Magnum revolver. So, I'll show you the numbers later on. So here's where it gets funny. So the FBI adopts the 10 millimeter cartridge, and the FBI agents, man, this is hard for me to even say. The big bad FBI had a hard time qualifying with a handgun. Now, granted, I'll give you, this thing has a wallop, but it's still a handgun. You're not shooting a 12-gauge shotgun pistol, you know what I'm saying? So the agents had a hard time getting off second and third shots on target. So they figured 10 millimeters a little too much for us. So, yeah, hope you enjoyed that clip. So, they went down to what they thought was a alternative, which is to lighten the load of the 10 millimeter cartridge, which became the FBI Light. So it's a lighter charge. Now this charge was basically turned into the 40 caliber Smith & Wesson, which us 10 millimeter fans call these short and weak. 40 S&W, we say, is the short and weak version of the 10 millimeter because they're both 40 caliber bullets, projectiles. The 10 millimeter is the magnum. So that's the history of how the 10 millimeter was created, and then how it became modified to become the 40 caliber. So with that being said, let's continue with the ballistic charts and comparisons, and then let me know what y'all think in the end. Here is your standard 45 ACP round. Average weight for 45 ACP is 230 grains, and this is only putting out 365 foot-pounds of energy and a velocity of only 845 feet per second. This cartridge is designed to perform better at slower speeds, but here's your first initial stats on the 45 ACP. Here's your 10 millimeter. I'm choosing the closest size and everything, weight comparison. This is a 200 grain bullet, putting out 694 foot-pounds of energy and traveling 1,250 feet per second. This round has, like I said, a very flat trajectory, high energy, and very fast. Here's that 45 ACP plus P I was telling you about. So we're giving 45 ACP 2 leg ups here. A lighter grain bullet and the hotter charge. So this is 185 grain 45 ACP plus P, still only putting out 592 foot-pounds of energy at 1,200 feet per second. One important thing to note about semi-automatic handguns is they are ramp feed into the barrel, which leaves some of the chamber not fully supported. You can see the exact spot that arrow is pointing at. That is the only part of the casing that may be exposed. This is why I will not shoot remanufactured 10 millimeter ammunition, because they are such hot, heavy loads that brass will probably be compromised at that spot after usage. Here is your 357 Magnum. It's only a 158 grain bullet. That's still only putting out 593 foot-pounds of energy at 1,300 feet per second. 10 millimeter does also make a very light grain bullet, the 135 grain, that is traveling at 1,600 feet per second and well over 700 foot-pounds of energy. This is why the 10 millimeter is compared to the 357 Magnum revolver ballistics. 10 millimeter meets and exceeds the performance of 357 Magnum revolver. There's my comparison of the three. All right, so at the end of the day, the best way I can describe 10 millimeter versus 45 ACP is a baseball and a softball. They're both about the same weight, about the same size. Take that softball, wind up, chuck it as hard as you can, let's say at a person, and they're going to feel the impact, they're going to be hurt. Take a baseball, put it on a tee, whack! The transfer of that kinetic energy hitting the same person. Think about that. it's going to be a lot more devastating. There it is.
Go.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Those last few videos were just me letting go of some full potential 10mm rounds. Just as a side note, it is legal to hunt white-tailed deer in some states with a 10mm pistol. Hope this video gave you a little bit of a history lesson on 10mm and 40 caliber, as well as the Miami shootout. Semper Fi. Thanks again for watching. Till next time.